Hey guys, welcome back to the Project DIY channel. On today's project, we're going to do some upgrades to my laptop. Let's get started. Alright, this is my Asus F510 laptop. You guys have seen this before. I recently upgraded some memory on it and have a video on my channel of that. Today we're going to do a couple of things. First, we're going to install an SSD hard drive, solid state hard drive, and I'll explain more about what that is. And I'm also going to increase the memory some more. So one of the reasons why I upgraded this laptop in a previous video was that I use it for video editing, and that uses some resource intensive software, and I have some issues when I use this software editing because I don't have enough RAM, and I also don't have a fast enough hard drive. So this is an SSD hard drive. It's solid state. The SSD stands for solid state device, and what that means is this is, you can think of this like a thumb drive that you would plug in the side of your computer. Some type of USB storage device like that, only this one plugs in place of your hard drive. Now, these are some of the advantages of an SSD hard drive. Number one, they're extremely light. I would venture to say that this probably weighs more than half of what the hard drive that's currently in this computer weighs. Also, SSDs are very quiet. There's no moving parts on the inside of it. It's all electronic storage, whereas on a hard drive there are small platters that spin and heads that move inside the hard drive, and those things can get very noisy. I'm sure most of you have had a laptop placed on a table and you've heard the hard drive buzz as it spins up, and so that's one of the advantages of an SSD. There are no moving parts. Because there are no moving parts, another advantage is SSDs are more reliable. Pretty much if a hard drive is spinning, I'm not sure how many RPMs they spin, but they're very fast. If the hard drive is spinning and you drop a laptop, you have a very high likelihood that you're going to damage the hard drive. And once you do that, it's gone. That's pretty much it. The inertia of those spinning discs and any kind of G-force from a drop, any kind of shock to the laptop, can cause those things to flex and they'll shatter. Another advantage of an SSD, and this is the reason why I'm switching to one, is they're much faster than a standard hard drive. SATA hard drives, which is the kind I have here, which has to do with the connection on the end, usually run at, and this is a normal hard drive, usually runs at 50 to 120 megabytes per second, and I'm reading this here so I can give you the information. In comparison, an SSD can run up to 550 megabytes per second, and that's the SATA version of it. There are several different versions that can go even faster than that, but that's extremely fast. Now, how does that increase the speed of your laptop? Well, the system goes to the hard drive and pulls files and information from the hard drive in order to be able to operate, and if it can get that information faster, if it can write data to the hard drive faster or read data from the hard drive faster, then that's going to speed up your overall performance of your laptop. So the first thing we're going to do is power it down, close the lid and flip it over. Now, just like in my previous video, this comes apart pretty easy. There's screws around the outside edge. Pop those screws out and the bottom just snaps off, and then everything is right there accessible to you. And one thing I did forget is this laptop has a couple of hidden screws under the back two rubber pads that it sits on. Once those are all out, then you can snap the back off of it. So the last time I was in here, you saw me upgrade the RAM, and I upgraded it to 8 gigabytes of RAM. The maximum it will hold is 32. Actually, I upgraded it to 16 from 8. The max it will hold is 32, so I'm going to be removing these two 8 gigabyte sticks and installing two 16 gigabyte sticks to give me a total of 32 gigabytes of RAM. And then here is the hard drive that we'll be replacing. First thing I need to do is disconnect the battery. Slide a little plastic piece over. And then this connector just comes undone. That disconnects the battery so that you can do whatever you need to do without shorting anything out. First thing I'm going to do is replace this RAM. And these just have 2 clips on each side. Pop right out. The new RAM, this is just the opposite. Slip it into the slot. Push down on it until it snaps into the 2 clips on the side. We'll do the second stick. Snap that in. So that's done. Now onto the hard drive. This hard drive is held in with several screws, and there is a cage that goes around it, a metal cage. We'll have to remove the hard drive from the metal cage and put the new SSD in the metal cage and plug it back in. First things first, there's a little sticker here that covers up the connections. Take that off. And we'll remove the screws. Once the screws are out, everything should slide out. Disconnect. There's your hard drive. And this is held in with 4 screws, 2 on each side. Once the screws are out, hard drive comes out of the cage. Now, one thing, if you do this upgrade, that you want to make sure you do is you back up any data that's on this hard drive somewhere else, because once you take it out of the laptop, you no longer have access to it. Alright, so we're going to install the new hard drive, which also has holes in the side for screws. And make sure I get the orientation right. It goes like that. Slip that in there, put the screws in it. Alright, put that in. We can slip it back into place, slide it in, plug the connector in, and we're ready to put the screws back in it. Sticker back on. And plug the battery back in. Make sure you snap the little lock in place so that battery connection doesn't come loose. Alright, that's pretty much it. We're going to put the cover back on and we'll go from there. all back together. I'm going to fire the laptop up. And I think it's F1 or F2. Oh, it's booting. That puts us in the BIOS settings of the computer. This is an area of software that runs separately from your OS that will allow you to see certain parts of the computer and make changes. So first thing we see here is storage, and a hard disk is a 1000 gigabyte, which is 1 terabyte. Sandisk SSD, which is what I put in it. It no longer has the other hard drive, which by the way is a Seagate, and it's also 1 terabyte. So the storage size is the same. The speed will be better. Let's see, total memory 32,768, so that's 32 gigabytes. That's twice what I had before, so everything looks good. Now that I've changed the hard drive and the new hard drive is blank, I have no operating system. And I don't know if you could tell from the beginning of the video, but I run Linux, specifically Ubuntu Linux on my laptops. It's much faster than Windows, and I get much better results from it. There's plenty of software out there available for it. It's what I use. So since I have a blank hard drive, I'm going to be going through how to install Ubuntu onto a blank hard drive. This will be what is referred to as a clean install. Now, Ubuntu is free and open source software. You don't have to pay for it. That's another advantage that I like. And previous to replacing the hard drive on this, I used the computer to make a boot disk for Ubuntu, and that has been put on this thumb drive. So what I've done here in the BIOS settings of the laptop is I've set it up to boot from the USB drive first and then from the hard disk. So if there is a USB drive plugged in it that has anything that it can boot from, it will use that. So we'll let that boot Ubuntu from the stick first, and then we'll install it onto the hard drive. So we'll save and exit. Alright, so we're going to first try or install Ubuntu, and that will boot it up from this USB drive, and then from there we'll be able to install it. It will boot a complete Ubuntu desktop just from this drive. And I'll bring you back when that's finished. Alright, here we are. We're booted into the Ubuntu USB disk, and this is a full desktop that can be used on here, but we're just going to use it to install it. Two options: try Ubuntu. That'll let you open just the desktop on here. You can try it. It's really pretty slow from the when you're trying this from the USB drive. So I'm just going to install it. Have a blank hard drive, and we'll click install. I'm going to choose my keyboard layout, English, US, continue. I'm not going to connect to a Wi-Fi network right now. Sometimes that makes the install time a little longer. So we're going to skip that, continue on. Hopefully you can see this. Sometimes the lighting on my camera with something like a laptop like this is kind of hard to see. What apps would you like to install? We'll just go with the normal installation. I am going to install third-party software for graphics that gets your correct drivers. So we're going to go with that. Alright, now it's asking the installation type. Two options are erase disk and install Ubuntu, or something else. If you had an extra drive in here that you wanted to install it on, you could pick the one you wanted. We only have one, so we're going to go with erase disk and install Ubuntu. And just a warning here that it's getting ready to write these changes to disk, and so there's no turning back. It's going to make the two partitions on the drive, ESP and ext4, partition 1 and partition 2. Click continue. It's asking me for my time zone. Closest one to me is Louisville. And just so you know, I did pronounce that right. If you live in Kentucky, that's how you pronounce it. Louisville. It's not Louisville or Louisville. It's Louisville. Continue. Now once my name, this is for login purposes. Put my name in there. It's going to give me a computer name. I'm going to change this to, let's see, change that to GT laptop. Username is Greg. We'll put in a long and complicated password. Put it in again. Continue. Alright, it's copying some files. I'll bring you back when that's finished. Alright, it has finished copying files over and it wants me to restart, so we'll go ahead and do that. And by the way, I will pull this USB drive out before it reboots. That way it doesn't try to boot from it again. Because now we want it to boot from the actual hard drive. Remove the USB drive, press enter. And I can already tell you that that was about 10 seconds. Before it took probably a minute, but we'll test that out here in a minute. So I'll go ahead and log in, put my long complicated password in. And there we go. Few setup items, and we're done. guys, that's how you upgrade an Asus F510 laptop to an SSD hard drive and 32 gigabytes of memory. Hopefully this is going to be much better, much easier to edit videos with, and I'm sure future me, as he's editing, will break in here and let you know. Hey guys, this is future me sitting here in my recliner, bag of chips, laptop, editing this video, and I can tell you it is much faster. The SSD hard drive was a huge upgrade. But I appreciate you watching, and also if you wouldn't mind, I think you should hit the like button, and by all means please subscribe if you like these kind of videos. I do all kinds of DIY projects, electronic stuff, car stuff, around the home stuff, anything like that. If you're interested in that, please subscribe and you'll see some future videos from me on that. In the meantime, while you're doing all that, I think you should watch this video.